777-647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about Sendwave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Vedase.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur, and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business, but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and intact? You are not sure? Well, shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination intact. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Welllamp Shippers.
Our agreement is 100. Yes. Our agreement is 100. Yes. And it has expired. 100. Yes. It has expired. Then our 100 years. Expired. 100 years. Expired. So we don't want Nigeria. This is the beginning and the end of Nigeria. Yes. So I am Sunday. Popular day go as Sunday. I know God is behind me. Then I know Yoruba people is behind me. I swear to you. We have it's one that they enjoy the resources. Only Fulani enjoying our resources. So we don't want our money again. Yes. So we want British to separate our agreement between Fulani and everybody in Nigeria is 100 years. Yes. Our 100 years. No more. We want our please, England, British, all over the world, United Nations, we are appealing to you. Come and separate us. No. One nation. I'm a teaching guy in Ghana. Yes. Then I have my green card. This is my green card of yours. I'm a British guy in Ghana. You know, because my father gave me clever man. Yes, my language is before. My language is before Nigeria. Before Nigeria. In my fatherland, we have many things in our land. We have gold, we have oil, we have many things. We have cows. We don't have enjoying our property. Because we don't have anybody to help. We are now appealing to the British government to come and separate because it's the one beginning of Nigeria. And we don't want Nigeria again. If British, they don't come and separate us, we are ready to die. Yes, sir. Because we don't have resources in this country. God give us many things in our land. Yes. Many resources in our land. over the world. We are heroes, United Nations. Those are heroes on this Fulani criminal. Fulani just go to our land to come and kill our family, to come and rape us. Fulani, when Buhari took over the Nigerian government in 2015, Yoruba people Fulani came in Nigeria is more than 29 million people. Raping us, thief our farmers, destroy our farmers, thief our resources.
Love it, Toxima.
The amalgamation of 2014 has expired. And now, when they came to our land, we discovered a lot of things that they have done in our land. And right now, England, Britain, we are telling you today that we are no more part of Nigeria again. You join us together by force. We are three tribes in Nigeria: Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. Oh yes. Right now, the Igbo people are on the rise to depart from Nigeria. Yes. Fulani, they are the people terrorists in Nigeria. We are no more part of Nigeria anymore. Oh yes. What we want now, we want to out of Nigeria. Yes. We want to escape from Nigeria. Nigeria is no more our country anymore. We Yoruba, we have the culture, we have the integrity, we have the potential, we have the abilities. In our land, we have enough to sustain our nation. We are over millions. In Brazil alone, we are over 70 million. In America alone, we are over 80 million. In England, we know the numbers of Yoruba people in this country. When the Army of Africa came to America, in Pennsylvania, they mentioned it, and it was addressed that Yoruba ethnic, they are the largest ethnic in Africa. Why Britain? Why are you on this town? If you are not getting something of our land, you are stealing our property. Britain, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We don't want our people to be killed in our land anymore. Our women, they cannot walk freely. They are being kidnapped. They are being massacred. And they have been killing our people. And even though our youth, there's no future for youth in this country today. In America, in Britain, while you people believe most, the youth are the future of tomorrow. But today, no more youth in the land of Nigeria. No more future for youth. No more future for youth in Nigeria. That is why we youth will stand also. And we are saying we are no more part of Nigeria anymore. And right now, the genocide is going on in Nigeria. They are killing our people. They are killing.
Very much. Okay. Let's now commence on the 18th day of October 2024 with the quote for the day. It says, your results in life reveals your inputs. Your results in life reveals your inputs. So what is it? What an interesting one, right? Yeah, man. Okay. Now let's move on straight to the weather front as well. Let me tell you what is happening on the weather front. Let me say good morning to Atta Kofi all the way in a Sherman as well, with all those lovely tunes that you've been sending to us and that we'll be bringing to our lovely listeners. We want to say thank you very much for that as well. But wherever you are, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, when it comes to the weather front, well, today, I started with a foggy day here in London. Any mist and fog will clear to leave a dry afternoon with sunshine. Towards the evening, it will slowly turn breezy and cloudy with patchy rain arriving from the west. And tonight will stay overcast with patchy light rain. The rain will become heavy and persistent by early hours as it moves in from the west. A relatively mild night expected. Yeah, top temperature is going to be 17 degrees. The low is going to be 13 degrees. UV level moderate pollution. Low sunset 1800. And then sorry for tomorrow morning, 07:21 hours. This is Starr Radio UK. For the weekend, Saturday, a mixture of rain and cloud. Temperature 17 degrees, the lowest 9 degrees. Sunday, same, but temperature 18 degrees and the lowest 13 degrees, a bit milder. And then come Monday, we'll go on to further lows there. But hey, whatever it is, as we say, make hay while the sun shines. Let us make hay while the sun shines. At 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Yes, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. All right then. Now let's take you straight to the travels as well. As we say, keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads. I've given up getting I promise our bond. On the underground this morning, Hammersmith and City Lines are experiencing severe delays due to train cancellations. The Northern Line is experiencing minor delays due to an earlier signal failure at Morden. That aside, all the others are running a good service. DLR, London Tramlink, and London Overground, good service there. On the major roads in London, roads, there are no exceptional delays there. On the river bus, good service. On the London Cable Car, good service. Yes, and then bringing us straight to the final segment of the travel update, that is the National Rail. On the National Rail this morning, I went to West Coast Special Service, Cross Country Special Service, Great Northern Railway, Great Western Railway, Greater Anglia, Island Line, Mersey Rail, Northern Rail, Scotch Rail, Southwestern Railway, Transparent Express, and Transport for Wales are all experiencing special service. That aside, all the others are running a good service there. And that is why I will say once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your coming for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes where? On the roads. All right then. Ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
You are listening to Starr Radio Morning Show.
Okay, let's take you global trotting now. And kicking off from Nigeria and some of the stories that we'll be looking at. Let's say good morning to Bishop Adeshina and your team. The RBS office in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, to the Shatima trip. Don't represent common sense. We speak in Pichorobi. And I did not rape nor kill Bamishe, the BRG driver. Wow. But when, for instance, postmortem was done, it came out that she's being abused, okay, raped, and some of her parts have been chopped off. So what is he talking about? Okay, the bus rapid transit driver, Andrew Omini Koron, standing trial for allegedly raping and murdering 22-year-old fashion designer Oluwa Bamishe Ayan Wole on Thursday opened his defense. We tell you more about all that and the reactions. Now, Kaduna farmers count losses as herdsmen ravage farmlands and 129 million Nigerians living in poverty. World Bank is saying a lot more going to be coming away from there once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki. We'll be joining in pretty soon. But in other stories as well, making the rounds in other parts of the world, once we prepare the ground for him. Now, Israel says Hamas leader Singh was killed during routine Gaza patrol. And other leaders are asking, would that bring about the end of the war at all? Now, debt rule to change to fund major projects, some of the stories making around, and King of Australia royal tour nearly didn't happen. How? Why? When? Okay, we'll be telling you more about all that as the program goes on. Well, Kenya's deputy president had been sacked while in hospital. So, Senate found him guilty, and that is the end for him. Trump cracks jokes at charity dinner while Harris does video skits. Well, we'll tell you more on that as well. 2 weeks on to the elections, and it looks neck and neck. Now, what do you think? Who do you think has got a bit of momentum there? We're going to be telling you more about all that as the program goes on. Now, moving on straight to some of the other stories making around this morning. Okay, all these ones. Beninese activist Kemi Seba has been freed. Okay, I'll be telling you more about all that as well. In Ghana, there is no time to waste. Accept your new status as minority leader Ahmed Ibrahim to Afenya market. Is he? Now, Chambers appeals to Ghanaians to ensure violence-free elections. It's easier said than done. He's saying that we are appealing to them to ensure free and fair elections. Do you think we're going to be getting anything of the sort at all? Well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Starr Radio UK, and this is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We're not properly applying the role of MPs, Professor. African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a quick break. We come back and we'll be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki already to fire on all cylinders. But let me say good morning too. OLAKUNLE, hey, it's been a while. So I greet you all, Mr. Archie and all Starr Radio UK crew. Much love and respect. Respect, my brother. And good morning to you. Let's take this quick break while we prepare the ground for Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Yes, you on your way to Ghana. Boy, oh boy, you stressed out, tired, going, going to be rested. Okay, then let me recommend to you JN Mobile Spa in Accra, Ghana. Oh boy, JN Mobile Spa, they provide organic care in massage. Are you stressed? Do you need rejuvenating, etc.? For your facials, maybe exfoliating, firming, and lifting? Then contact JN Spa on 00233 244 941 002 or 00233 2006 06386, and they will be right there on time. JN Mobile Spa, your health and beauty needs at your doorstep. Welcome back to the program. This is Starr Radio UK, and this is the Friday edition of the morning show. And I can tell you assuredly, I'll go with me, my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Yomi, massive good morning to you.
A very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners from around the globe, and welcome to the Friday edition, the 18th October 2024. 3 minutes past 11 a.m. right in front of the window. I've been seeing the beautiful trees that are still green, but I'm sure anytime soon the weather will kick in and they'll start dropping a little bit down. I could read from here, the bus network is known as B network, which is different from London. That shows that I'm still in Manchester.
Okay, so you know that B network, that means it's still in Manchester. How are you? How is Chief? How is the team there?
Well, Chief, like I always say, must continue to have his privacy, which we respect, but he's doing very well. And I can tell you that, he's in good care, especially with his mother here that has been taking good care, Olayomi. And likewise, the rest of the groups that have welcomed us into Manchester. I'm currently in communication with him as a spokesman to him. But I can also say that, Professor is fine as well. I spoke to him this morning, and we're still here until we will be leaving very soon. But for now, we're still in Manchester.
Okay, good one. Have there been any response from the from the federal government pertaining to the letter that was sent to the British government here? Has there been, apart from what the attacks on the High Commissioner, the British High Commissioner in Nigeria, has there been any other response from them at all pertaining to last week's event?
Well, the propaganda machine of the federal government, as we know, is still working, and that means that they're trying to, to throw sand into the good thing that has occurred over the weekend. Today makes it exactly a week that we held the birthday for Igboho in London, and it's not even a week that we held the rally. And you can imagine that on that 1 week, the Nigerian government is crying wolves because they are not too sure what is the next move on the chess game. But one thing is, the conversation is still going on. There's a lot of attacks that is still coming through. But the most important thing is the Yorubas have spoken that they will exit Nigeria in a manner that any other countries have done as well. But for now, I believe that the government is in derail because, as you heard from the headline that we're going to be picking on, it seems that Nigeria is on autopilot as we speak right now because no vice president, no president, and it seems that Peter Obi is already saying, where is these two individuals, and is it necessary that they have to leave the country where you can read from the other headline about 129 million Nigerians are in abject poverty. I'll come back again to you in the studio from my ear, Mr. Archie.
Yes, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in Manchester, I'm Archie here in the South Studios in London, where we are bringing you updates from Nigeria on the Starr Radio Morning Show. OLAKUNLE says, that is our great white lion, last man standing, Yoruba nation not going back. And it says, Oloye Sunday Adeyemo Igboho is our hero and he is our leader. Good to see you. Keep on sending your messages in, and I promise you one thing for sure, I'm going to read them. Ola Akiyemi, good morning to you as well. Lovely having you on the platform as well. Okay, now you did touch on it earlier, pertaining to the fact that Peter Obi is on the offensive, saying that, well, Tinubu Shatima is Nigeria on autopilot. But if you look at the constitution of Nigeria, whatever the constitution is, there is we have the president, the vice president, and at times we have the speaker of either the Senate, and then we have the chief justice. So that's ranking there. So Nigeria is all on autopilot. So why is Peter Obi and others saying, well, the president and the vice president cannot leave the country at the same time and all that?
Well, the Labour Party presidential flag bearer during the 2023 presidential election, Peter Obi, has now faulted, the foreign trips embarked by both the president, Bola Tinubu, and his deputy. Let's first, touch on the president. The president spoke almost 2 weeks ago, which is a countdown, because by this weekend, we expect President Bola Tinubu to return back to Nigeria. But right now, he's in Paris, where he's receiving his own treatment. He's on holiday. But one thing is that president left the position for the vice president, like you said, to take over, because on a normal routine, where the president is out of the country, the vice president then takes charge. But what a lot of Nigerians were a little bit surprised is when the vice president also said he had a foreign trip to Sweden. And this is where Peter Obi is saying that this does not make any common sense. And he's talking about that this trip is coming when this country called Nigeria is grappling with domestic challenges we're concerned. Let's remind that the President Bola Tinubu departed Abuja on the 2nd of October this year for a 2 weeks working leave. He came to UK. From UK, he ran out of UK. So that's what some people are saying, because Igboho was going to be in London, So he left on the Friday, just as Igboho was about to arrive in the evening. And now also, the special assistant on political and other matters, Ibrahim Masari, that tweeted on X, has now also confirmed that Shetima has left Abuja to Sweden on a 2-day visit to represent Nigeria in what is called a bilateral engagement with the Scandinavian nation.
Okay, let's see what happens. Maybe somewhere, somehow, we'll get them coming back into the country, and maybe it will change the fortunes of Nigerians as a whole. But ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in Manchester, I'm actually here in the South Studios, London, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. And let's move on to some of the other stories. Now, how many 129 million Nigerians living in poverty? That's how the World Bank has even written it. But if we want to actually look at it the way that we rate, poverty, because at times when we ask those living in this Western world, we tell you that, how do you define poverty? Somebody will say that, if you have not been on holidays for maybe 2 or 3 consecutive times, then that means you are poor. But we are talking about the fact that somebody has not had breakfast, has not had lunch. Maybe they might have to go and get some small garri, no sugar, no nothing, no fish, no nothing, then just put some water on it and just eat it, and that is what. So when we talk about after poverty or poverty, then that is. But Tinubu Tinubu came in to say he's changing everything around. 129 million. What is the palliative? What have they been doing? All those things. Tell me more, Yomi.
Well, the country has been grappling with a lot of issues, for over 60 years, because of the way it has been structured on a faulty foundation. And that is one reason that many people have asked that whether this country will survive another 1 year or 2 years, time will tell. But this morning, we are not surprised, and I believe if any Nigerian is surprised that when Tinubu came to power, it has now added extra layers of poverty that has been in existence before he came to power. So let's go back to the numbers. We're talking about a population of about 200 million, and if about 129 million of 200 million Nigerians are living in poverty for the fact that the increase of commodities have shot up with about 45% from 32% as inflation continued to bite many Nigerians this morning. So the World Bank says that we have 129 million Nigerians. What is this government going to do to elevate poverty? What is the government going to do to make sure that we're looking at that headline that the farmers are struggling to get back to farm? And one of the reasons why we are concerned is that if farmers can't get to the farm, that means that the food production will continue to decline, and the cost of these food in the market will continue to rise as well. So let's give you more numbers as well. Tiger Nut has sold at the market in Jebia on February this year at about 1,600 kilometer border with his neighbor, was until now one of Nigeria's main trading partners with about $193 million in export in 2022, according to the United Nations. Electricity, tobacco, cement. But since the border closure, it has even been a double whammy for the local population, who has seen food prices exploded under the combined effect of a new movement restriction. Remember that when Tinubu came to power, there was the issue of the Niger that was erupting. And as the chairman of ECOWAS, the first thing he did was shut down the borders. And that means that, there is no trade route coming in between the borders. Not only that, we have now seen that with the growth proving to be slow to the outpace inflation, poverty has now risen sharply since 2018. The share of Nigerians living below the national poverty line 16 is estimated to have risen sharply to 40%, and it is still pushing to about 56%. So when you combine the population growth, this means that about 129 million Nigerians are living in poverty. This stark increase partly reflects Nigeria's beleaguered growth record. The GDP per capita has not recovered to the level it was prior to the oil price induced since the recession in 2016. The COVID pandemic came in as well. It added multiple shocks in the context of the high economy. When you talk about the insecurity, one major reason why the Yorubas are saying that we will not allow our farmers to live in that stage, and that is why Professor Akintoye continued to tell the international community that for peace to reign, for us to protect the borderlines and create the enabling environment, it is high time that the Yoruba exit Nigeria. But right now, 129 million Nigerians are struggling to have the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner, and it is not their fault. It is just that the foundation of Nigeria has been very faulty.
Well, the foundation of Nigeria has been faulty. What do you think about all that? The OLAKUNLE says President Tinubu will always use more time abroad than in Nigeria because he can't use the poor health care they created for their citizens, and the citizens are not even seeing anything bad about it. And that is how true the whole thing is. The people who are, you thought that maybe they will rise up and say, look, we are not being treated well because the politicians can give them some small money, thinking, oh yeah, we're okay, and they support them as well. But the day that maybe will go for elections and people will not turn out to vote, then people will know that yes, people are not happy with what is going on. But what do you think?
And people are not happy when you look at the numbers of the salary. I mean, this is another headline. I earn total of 14 million every month as a senator. Oji Kalu, the senator, dismissed the belief among some Nigerians that the lawmakers are living in affluence while the masses live in poverty. The lawmaker representing Abia North in the Senate, Oji Uzokalu, has now disclosed that he earns a total of 14 million naira every month as a senator, while an average Nigerian is still struggling for the 70,000 that the president has asked for them to be paid on a monthly basis.
So he's saying that he's earning 40 million, so he's poor, he's struggling.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Yeah. Getting 70,000. 70,000. How much rent will they even pay? What about hospital? What about transport? What about taking care of their children and all that stuff? My listeners, at times, I don't know, maybe our leaders, they live on a different planet and we are living on a different planet, so it makes it quite difficult. But let's move on. I have one lesson that I'll then before we come to Bamishe's issue. Now, reject bill seeking to arm FRSC officers. It will only increase killing of Nigerians at checkpoints. Ejiofor tells National Assembly. Can you give us a bit of background? Who are the FRSC as well, and why are they they want to be armed? Why?
While I was having my morning program this morning, and Bishop Additional called in and stated it that the FRSC, which is the Federal Road Safety, would now be harmed. The question is, how many security operatives needs to be harmed? And is this the right way, in the right direction? We do know that in any part of the world, it is important that we have a system that will be put in place to curb those that wants to drive very fast. Here in the UK, sometimes the sat nav tells you that the police is up there, but it's just to curb and the abuse of the road network. But in Nigeria, it seems that the FRC is now also asking that they need to be harmed. I'm not sure why they want to be armed, because if we go back to Bolanle Rahim was shot dead by the officer that was meant to be using the gun that was bought by the taxpayers' money for the purpose. So she was shot dead on a Christmas day. She lost not just her life, she also lost the twin baby that was with her. So the concern with many Nigerians is, do we need to have the FRSC also being harmed when it comes to the current situation that many Nigerians are facing this morning, because there's so many issues. And like I said, it is important that we have them in there to curb the drunk drivers and they're doing very well. We got to be honest with ourselves. But to be able to be armed is what I don't understand. The FRC also has partnered with the NDLEA to curb drunk driving in Castina. And like I said, they're doing extremely well. But the concern now is, why do you want to harm them, especially in the current climate of Nigeria today, when we know that many of them are not well trained? And we might see Happy Trigger, which will probably, when I come back again to you in the studio, will link us back to how Pelumi was killed and how Bamishe was also killed. So you can see that in a country that doesn't have a rule of law, you need to know that giving arms to officers, security operatives, they need to understand that these are real bullets that can take lives.
Well, listeners, quite interesting. It's already okay. At 19 minutes past 11. Now, we didn't talk about, back in the day, we didn't talk about the regional security or the state security forces. I don't know whether it was regional. And the Yoruba area or the southwest had a group. I've forgotten the name. Do you remember?
The Amatekun.
Amatekun, yes. Now, when we were calling that, because of the influx of the terrorists and what do you call them, Fulani herdsmen and everything, were saying that they needed to be armed, because if those people are coming against them armed, then they need to answer fire with fire. The federal government said no, they're not going to do that. So they didn't allow that. I don't know how they operate, whether they are just moving about and when they see something, say hello, and then if somebody has to shoot and then they shoot. I don't know exactly what is going on there. But looking at that, well, in this case, they needed that for security purposes, so that they can patrol or protect the security of the various states. They didn't allow that. So how can they want to allow somebody who is stopping or checking transport, to have a gun? We have seen several times in the US when the police stop people and then because the person doesn't want to stop, they take a gun and shoot at the person. So if they are saying that that's what they want to do, I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a lot of things that we need to understand when it comes to Nigeria, and one of those things is one of the headlines that I've picked up again is police and soldiers are selling weapons, to criminals. So, and if you're going to have FRSC also saying that they want to be armed, are we not going to end up having, many different, security operatives that are doing exactly what is not meant to be done? So let's go to that headline. because it's still related to the discussion about terrorism, about the Fulani herdsmen, and all kind of manners of the borders. Remember that we have a border that is so porous. So Ribadu, is giving us a background hint. I'm talking about the National Security Advisor, NSA. I mean, whatever these individuals are telling us this morning should be of concern to many Nigerians at home and abroad. The National Security Advisor, Nuru Ribadu, is full of criticism for policemen and the soldiers for stealing and selling arms and ammunition from their formation to criminal elements. Ribadu stated this, on Friday during the destruction of arms by the National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. According to the National Security Advisor, security agent involved in the act are the worst human beings, adding that effort must be put in place to check those people. He added, we have to find a way to put in a stop to these if we want to recover our country and live in peace and stability.
Okay, let's see. But if they are going to whatever I'm giving to them, I mean, waving to soldiers to the police. Now we are hearing that they are selling them and stuff like that. Is it any good thing at all? But well, we saw where a transport, just a driver, happened to rape and murder a passenger. Bamishe, that's what I'm talking about. And after now, the driver is saying, but well, someone will say that innocent until proven guilty. We know that it's not forensic. The postmortem showed that was family. The lady had been raped and murdered. But the defendant is saying that nothing of the sort. You know what I mean? What do you think is going on?
The death of Bamishe is still a very bitter one to the family, because I'm close to the family after the death. We've been going to the court to see if we can get justice, for Bamishe. And since we can't get justice for Bamishe, we're also talking about justice for Mohbad, justice for Pelumi. We're going to be talking about Pelumi because he was a young journalist that was killed during, the NSAS. Let's go to the story of Bamishe, because Lagos, the excellent state that you would think of. I mean, things happen around the world, but what we are trying to figure out this morning is the bus driver, Andrew Omikono, standing the trial for the allegedly raping and murdering of a 22-year-old fashion designer, Oluwabamishi Anyanwola, yesterday opened his defense. Omikono, Andrew, has now testified before the Lagos High Court in Tafawa Balewa Square, but he's now saying something that is a bit, shocking, that he's telling the court that he did not rape Bamishe nor kill Bamishe. The question then I should be asking is, what happened to Bamishe? Because Bamishe was in that BRT in Lagos. We have audio that I've listened to, but we will then have to wait and see how the defense and those that are charging these individual, this incident happened as Justice Sherifat Shonaike on the February 26, 2022. He was on an afternoon shift when he resumed by 1 p.m. and his route was from Oshodi to Ajah. Does it mean that he pushed Bamishe out of the vehicle and Bamishe got raped and got killed? Or what led to the death of Bamishe? He said that he made the round trip and went to the second trip from Ajah, saying that it was already around 7 to 8 p.m. He said he couldn't continue walking, but decided to illegally pick a passenger while going back to Oshodi. This is what we normally say to the people back home. I know this, especially at this very difficult time. If you're not too sure about the vehicle, don't go in. But people are sure about the BRT. I mean, how would Bamishe know that the BRT is not in operation when the driver is now stating that he was driving the vehicle illegally? Imagine, the bus driver has finished his shift and decided to take some extra income and park somewhere and take in extra passenger and take, funding from them. And that's exactly what happened. The defendant is standing trial for burden of rape, conspiracy, felony, sexual assault, and the murder that was brought by Lagos state government. We will have to see the end to this, because it has been going for too long, that there's so much injustice in Nigeria, and it looks like, again, there is the big man that is behind this death, and they're trying to put it on the side. But because the pressure is still coming, let's hope that Bamishe family will get the outcome. But at the alleged offense, they say that's contravened the section 411-223 260-165 of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. I'll come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Well, listen to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's Olayomi Koiki now, North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios. We're bringing you the morning show and the segment for updates from Nigeria. Okay, now let's move on to other stories making the rounds. And we know the vice president, I know, what do you call it, Bijorobi will be saying, well, if they are going out for investment, or he's saying that he's got an investment into the country, what is all that about? But I will leave you to bring the rest of the story making the rounds. Over to you, sir.
Well, in as much as the country is going through a rough, difficult one, Shettima, the vice president, is asking investors to come and invest in Nigeria. According to the report coming, the vice president Kashim Shettima is urging global investors to take advantage of Nigeria's growing investment climate. The vice president made the call during a business meeting with the Swedish business in Stockholm, in Sweden, as part of his 2-day visit to the Nordic country rather. According to him, the federal government has undertaken the bold reforms that are restructuring the nation's economy for sustainable growth, adding that the administration Renew Hope agenda is focused on a competitive business environment that attract foreign and domestic investment. That is coming from Shettima visit to 2 days in Sweden. Let's go back again to the federal government and the state allocation of September. Federal government, state, local government shared 1.2 trillion naira in September 2024, according to the revenue. The total sum of 1.2 trillion was shared by the federal account revenue, has been shared to the federal government, the state, and the local government. Many question is, how does this impact, many Nigerians that are living in what we just said earlier, of 129. We have 774 local government, and in the Southwest alone, we have about 191. But it seems that, the funding for the local government is not getting there. Like I said to you right from the window, I mean, it's a very quiet, suburb where I'm currently, but I can still see the network of the B network that is driving through, not the, the keke napel or the Okada that is driving and making all kind of noise. Local government has a big role to play, to make the environment and the local to be able to live. But it seems that, money continue to be shared. And these are the breakdown. According to the communique stated that out of the 1.2 trillion that was distributed revenue, the federal government received a total sum of 424 billion naira. The state government, and I'm talking about in total, received 453.724 billion naira. The local government council received a total sum of 329.864 billion naira, and the total sum of 90 billion of the 13% of the mineral revenue was shared to the benefiting state as declaration revenue. Again and again, these are money that are shared on a monthly basis, but I'm not too sure whether they're making any impact to the lives of many Nigerians back home this morning. Let's go more and talk about Naira redesign. Remember the Naira redesign? Emefiele court has granted the EFCC request to present a witness virtually. The EFCC is prosecuting Emefiele on a 6-count charge of unlawful printing of a new Naira note, among the others. But Justice Mary of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory has now requested the EFCC, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, to present 2 witnesses virtually in the trial of the former governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele. In the ruling this Friday, Justice Mary granted the EFCC the application, and these will be done via virtual. At the day's proceeding, the counsel to the EFCC told the court that the 2 witnesses the prosecution planned to call next week were all based in the United States of America, and they will have to bring them by Zoom or other video platform. Emefiele is still trying to get himself as someone that says, look, whatever I've done, the president was involved, the president knows about it, but it seems that, this government is not listening to that, but we would have to wait. It seems that it's going down in Kebbi State at exactly 11:31 this morning on the Starr Radio UK network. Students set Kebbi College Provost President ablaze over alleged extortion. The protests erupt over allegation that the college management extorted 23 million naira from the student regarding index registration for 250 graduating students. It is not new that in Nigeria, there's the backhand that you must give if you truly want to get things done. Whether from the airport, where we have a lot of extortion that is going on when you arrive in Nigeria, whether at the ministry, whether at the local government, whatever you want to do, all you can do is just give the kickback, and you're likely to get away with it. And that means that the international community are putting their country in danger, because nobody knows who is a terrorist, as we saw when Mukhtar, that school in the UK, eventually wanted to blow up the American airline. Egbetokun, the Inspector General of Police has now ordered investigation as police flagged 612 stolen vehicles in September. The vehicles were seized following the deployment of the electronic central motor registry, but the Nigerian police force says it flagged a total of 612 hijacked and missing vehicles across the country within the last month. According to the statement by the first public relations officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi said the vehicles were seized following the deployment of the electronic central motor registry. I remember when I came in 1998, the system was not built here as well, but if you drive now, you're likely to be picked up whether for MOT or the road tax. Once again, I can still see the little buses that are also passing through the window. We are still on the Starr Radio UK, and we still have more headline to pick on. But for now, let's go back to Pelumi, because when we talk about journalists, we are one journalist that is sitting here from London, and when we talk about the death of an innocent journalist, the question is, what can be done to make sure that journalists that are practicing their job in Nigeria, in Africa, are free to do so? Many will always tell us, come back home, come back home. They know that our coming home would not work in line with a criminal government that doesn't want freedom of discussion and freedom of expression. So when we hear all the time, come back home, they are asking us to come to our death. And that's the reason why we can't come back home yet. But let's talk about Pelumi, as we know that it was a young journalist that was working tirelessly, but something erupted that led to his death, during the EndSARS. The Lagos State government have now begun a judicial inquiry into the journalist Pelumi Onifade's death. His death was still painful. I spoke to the family as well, but let's hope that there will be a closure, because when we get closure to things, then the family can move on. But if you don't get closure to something, that is why the family will continue to be pained. According to the coroner inquest into the death of Pelumi Onifade, who was reportedly arrested by the policeman attached to a Lagos State task force while he was covering the hashtag EndSARS protest in 2020, about 4 years ago, and later found dead at the mortuary in Ikorodu. The question then again is, how did someone that you arrested, the body end up in the mortuary? This is a country that needs a lot of things to be discussed. And the truth is, we that are campaigning for the de-amalgamation of Nigeria cannot sit behind and continue. I mean, imagine I have to be taken to the police station for whatever reason. And, God forbid, my dead body is now found at the mortuary in the UK. I'm sure, many people will be out on the street demanding what happened to me. And we are saying to the Lagos State government, we need to know, the conclusion to how an innocent journalist, a young journalist of less than 20 years old, was picked up. We know what was behind it, because it was actually covering one of the criminals that was, using weapon on the day. He captured that. The video was in circulation. He was taken to the police station and is gone. So when those that are back home are saying that, we should keep our mouth shut because, we're trying to bring uncomfortable to the country. Already Nigeria is uncomfortable and a governing place, and it is important that we find a solution to it. The judicial inquiry into the cause of the death of Mr. Pelumi Onifade, a 20-year-old reporter with Boa TV who died during the EndSARS, we would like to know the final conclusion, just like Delegiwa that was bombed, when a letter bomb, came to him. And on the time he was opening the letter, he said this letter was coming from the presidency. And as at the time, it was a military dictator known as Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida that was in power. I'll come back again to you in the studio at 36 minutes past 11, Mr. Archie.
Well, listeners, it's interesting development coming from Nigeria this morning. But let's talk about the rule of law. Let's talk about the rule of law in Nigeria, because we are in a democracy dispensation where we talk about the rule of law. So how can somebody be arrested? The next moment, whether the person was beaten, whatever happened, the person's body or remains left in a morgue. And you ask yourself the question, we say that is a rule of law, and is it because the police or the security agencies are covering their backsides and therefore they don't want people to know who arrested this gentleman? First of all, do you have an inkling to who arrested him? Was it the police or were there some military people? Because during that process, I remember we saw some people who were dressed in the military or something. We're not sure who they were, whether they were real military or some people have been sent by government or the year, what do you call that? Those people who are allowed to themselves. What do they call them? The DSS? We don't know who exactly did it. Yomi.
Well, according to what I'm reading from here, the coroner heard from Mrs. Bosse Onifade, the mother of the late journalist, who recounted the conflicting report about the location of her son's body and the family futile effort to secure the release of his corpse to them. She told the coroner that the family had initially been told by the Lagos State Government Task Force that the body had been taken to Ikorodu morgue, where her husband, Mr. Olatunde Onifade, accompanied. But what you wanted to know is who arrested him and what was the reason for his arrest. At the preliminary hearing at the coroner inquest in October 17, there was Mr. Kingsley, the lawyer from the law firm of Charles Musa and Co., and Mr. Monday Ariso, legal officer, while the Attorney General of the Lagos State was represented by Mr. Oluwaseun Akide. We know from the information gathered that Belumi was picked up, just as they cited that what he recorded was already on air. So it was picked up and then transported away. Remember that the NSAS saga was one of the most painful ones. A lot of people lost their lives, not only in Lagos State, even in the Southeast as well. But we know from the little information that we've gathered that the officers that did this sometimes will be posted out of the state just to save the track. Remember that I was just telling you about Bolanle Rahim. The case of Bolanle Rahim was another one that occurred, when, she was coming back, with her family after, the church. And eventually, Bolanle Rahim was shot dead right in the vehicle. She died on the spot. The twins that she had also died on the spot. And there's no justice yet, for Bolanle Rahim family. So it's like, this is a country where you ask yourself, are we still living in the dark era, or should we just say we have a country that is never meant to be? But let's hope that justice will be served. Let me give you this, the story, the 7 things that we need to know. Bolanle Rahim was a lawyer, and these are things that we need to know. Below are the 7 things to know about the dead lawyer. Bolanle Rahim is a Christian that, 29th of May was her birthday, almost, the same start with myself. She was married to Benga Rahim. They had children together. She had a secondary school education in Only Child College in Ikoyi. She also attended Olabisi Onabanjo University. You can see that these are not just normal individuals, people that wanted to serve the country, but the other way around, the country was never meant to serve them. She studied at also the Nigerian Law School in Enugu. She was a property lawyer and a member of the Nigerian Bar Association in Lagos State. Rahim was an award-winning rector in a real estate consultant, business coach, and developer. She was the chief executive officer of the Custom Homes. But the police have since condemned Rahim's killing, and the state police public relations officer, Benjamin Odoye, on the tweet on Monday described the incident as unfortunate and avoidable.
Well, when will all this end? Bob Marley asked in his song, but total destruction at times is the only solution. Do you think that's what we're going to be seeing? Well. People are petitioning and saying, we don't want that, we want out. Yet, government says, no, we have to bind ourselves together. In unity, there is strength. But when the unity is killing people, where is the unity then? Ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio, okay? I love the students who went on rampage and tried to even kill their rector or one of them for the index registration. And when we get angry, when we let those who are lording over us know that we are very angry, the makes them, whether they're politicians, whatever, now when they're taking any step or doing anything, they are careful because they know that people are watching and people will not take that, excuse my word this morning, nonsense any longer. But what we see, maybe some way, somehow, they are setting a good example and ask the Yoruba group, the Yoruba nation, and ask the Biafrans and IPOP and various groupings are saying that we don't want that, we won't tolerate that. Maybe I will work. But what do you think? Let us hear from you. Starr Radio. Let's go back to Yomi for the rest of the story, the anything happening on the social media platform. Over to you, sir.
Yes, we got straight to the social media, and two things that are trending. About three things. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is trending. We have Boko Haram trending, and we have again the Nigerian police that is also trending. So let's pick on one of them. That is the Nigerian police. The first most hated character in Nigerian TV show history. Remember him. This is one individual that I believe was into acting and also. But when we come to Nigerian police, many Nigerians are, we know that they're, innocent. We have criminals around the world, but in a country where many innocent young ones are being intimidated, open your phone, you can't drive a good car, So many Nigerian diaspora that are living in the UK do not understand what they are enjoying, in as much as we know that there's still racism and there's still, the police trying to also, do some of the things that are uncomfortable for many of our, young ones in the UK. But when you compare that to Nigeria, you will cry. Mr. Francis says, they killed that boy for nothing. The Nigerian police gave me serious anxiety. I usually divert whenever I see them on the road because I know that my day will be ruined. I have had terrible experience, several extortion and threat to life. And again, this is coming to, some of the, many Nigerians on the Twitter or the X this morning. So as usual, this story is coming up. We can't show you. I've watched the video. It's very graphic. But again, police chased this guy into the canal, took his money and run off. Imagine chasing someone into the canal, took his money and left him there to die. He's currently fighting for his life as we speak right now in the hospital. And I'll just leave it like that.
Well. Ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And that's where we have to bring the updates from Nigeria to a close there. But Yomi, are there any special programs for the Yoruba nation over the weekend, or just round up everything nicely?
Well, there's not much happening, but there's still the celebration of, life and birthday for Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho that is still being played across, Europe as well. So, that is all I can say. But for now, there is a lot of engagement that continue behind the scene, and also as the Yoruba world media continue to engage many Yorubas at home and abroad, not to be intimidated and to the propaganda machine of the Nigerian media.
Okay, Yomi, let me say thank you very much for joining us today, and have a lovely weekend, and we'll catch up later.
Bye for now, Mr. Archie.
Bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you this morning, bringing you all the updates that you need to know from Nigeria.
Well, that is about it this morning. Babaleki ti bó ti pè yín, mo pè lánàá, àlàáfíà lẹ́wà, ẹ káàárọ̀ sà, àárọ̀ náà la ṣe wà. Màá pè tí bá parí program nìsín. I gotta go now. I don't have enough strength to. I did a program kan láàárọ̀, so let me go, so that I can go and have my breakfast. Thank you so much for joining us. That was the Starr Radio UK. We'll be back on Monday, and if all goes as planned, we might have a special guest on Monday. But I'll leave it for that like that. Eshe goni gbogbo wa o. Àdúrà wa gbà. Yorùbá nation no going back. Màá bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn bàbá lẹ́kìtì. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá o. Ó dàbọ̀. Mo kí àwọn tíìmù.